We haven't quite finished up. Take about 10 more seconds. Oh, I would push you to figure out what that standard word is. All right, we are going to bring it back. Can I have 2 different volunteers quietly raise their hand and let me know what they think professionalism is in their own words? I saw a lot of good ones. Go ahead, Jordan.
Professionalism is being respectful, dressing respectfully, and having good manners.
And having good manners. Okay, so summarizing a lot of that. Michael, you were like kind of going to volunteer. You want to share your definition?
Sure. I said professionalism is like being respectful to everyone, like knowing appropriate language, necessaryness, and stuff like that.
Cool. So that those manners, that professional language, or knowing rather, I think in that case, Michael, you're talking about your audience. So which role are you going to put on in order to kind of best suit that audience? Great job. So make sure if you had not finished that you do have a formal definition or one that is working for you before you turn that paper in today. So we're going to go back to our do first quickly while I erase this. All right, so now that we talked about, or now that we have talked about rather, what professionalism is, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Do we think this email example was professional?
No.
I need thumbs up or thumbs down. Let's see it. Thumbs down if it's not professional, thumbs up if it was. Sandra, what do you think? 1. Well done. Okay, cool. You can go ahead and put your thumbs down. I want to review some of those questions though. The first question I asked on the do first was how did that make you feel if you were that professor? Okay, let's go ahead and have the 3 volunteers tell me what word they used or how they would have felt if that email had come to them. Go ahead, Rosa.
I would have felt disrespected.
Felt disrespected, why?
Because you're talking to the teacher, you're supposed to talk more professionally in order for them to know that you respect them.
Good, exactly. Okay. Jackie, what did you say?
I feel confused because there's a lot of grammar errors.
Yep. It's even confusing to read through. I read to the bottom and I was confused what the point of it was. Brian?
First, parts of it, I'll laugh hard, but parts like the bottom, like the PS part, I wouldn't be like okay with it no more.
You wouldn't have been okay with it anymore?
Cause saying him like it's a tuition, like they'll pay for good markers, like that's annoying.
Yeah, kind of crosses some lines there. Good. Okay, and then the next question I asked you guys was some adjectives you would use to describe Abby, the writer of this email. So Armando, what was one adjective you used to describe them for her?
Not well educated.
Not well educated? Okay, Catherine, what was an adjective you used? Disrespectful? Jay, did you have a different adjective? Okay, let's think of one then. We needed 3. So we have disrespectful, uneducated. What else do you think? I would say lazy. How about something else from this table? Yeah. Confusing. All right. All of those things. Who can remember back, we did an activity, and I had you guys brainstorm adjectives you would want someone to use to describe you. Were any of the adjectives you listed for number 2 adjectives you would want someone to use to describe you? No, right? And so the point of that exercise was to realize that when we don't take the time and the effort necessary to watch what we say and who we're saying it to, we do not put our best self forward. Okay, we don't want to be described as the adjectives used for number 2, and if we write an email that is like this, that's what we're doing. Okay, and so today's purpose of the lesson is to make sure that we are putting our best self forward so we can write emails and communicate effectively and professionally. All right, so go ahead and flip to the back side of your worksheet. Okay, what you guys have there is a checklist for professional communication, and specifically we're focusing on email communication today. What I'm going to ask you to do in just a second, with the person at your table, just one, so we have tables of 4, you guys will have one group of 3, is go through that checklist. First, identify the elements that are listed. Okay, so where the address is, where's the subject line? Okay, be ready to communicate that. And then the second thing is, after you go through that checklist, be able to tell me if you agree that this is professional or you say it is not professional. All right, so expectations during this time, you're working with one partner. This table can work together and you can have a threesome there. But you guys are talking through these 2 things. All right, go ahead and get started. You'll have 3 minutes to work on this. Go. So you 3 are working together here. We're going to go through that checklist.
Okay, so I think just by looking at the morning that
I am, no, the morning, so I am emailing today, all on status around my phone in.
So can I call on you and ask one of work together and then you guys can see if they have the checklist. We 3 work together, let's 2 work together. We don't do a checklist. Check out the checklist. Oh, look at you using your resources. Yes. BCC. All right, and your partner. Partners. All right, going through those checks. What's up? Make sure you sign out and take that pass. Can I borrow this? So make sure that you are ready to be called on if I ask you to identify a part. Okay. 1 minute left.
So it's not
Okay, so what about that? Can you read the Good Morning, Miss Jones? Okay, what is that on your checklist? Reading? Is it all on the So all right, we're going to bring it back in. Our eyes are on the board in 2. Oh, look how fast that was. All right, let's go ahead and look up here. So we're going to go through this checklist together. I've noticed some people were identifying some things on our sheet that we hadn't yet got to, and that was great. Shout out to Michael for exploring that before we got there. So addresses, first, we do want to be professional. We had some college reps in here yesterday talking to seniors, and that was like their number one thing, that do not submit a college application with an unprofessional email. You guys will get to show me what yours are in a little bit, but I know that that's something that we start to harp on early in high school. You can't necessarily see Clara, who is sending this email's address up here, but it is the one that is listed, sjones@harvard.edu, professional. Yeah, pretty straightforward. So we can go ahead and give that a check. That was almost bad. Then we go down to the subject line. You're nice and close, Jackie. Can you read for me the subject?
Application forward.
Awesome. Clear, concise. Did we give her that check mark?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. You can show me with nodding your head. Good, it tells you what it is. We're going to the greeting. Diego, what greeting did she use?
She said, "Good morning,
Good morning, Hill.
Miss Jones."
Yes, wonderful. So in contrast to what we saw on the flip side of this paper, Jay, did we say that that was formal enough?
Yes.
Wonderful, yes we did. So we're keep on going. We said our greeting, it was formal, then we got to the body. What was this email about? Can I have a quiet raised hand to tell us what this email was? Thank you. Go ahead, Anita.
The assistant said that the transcript and letters of recommendation were missing when they should complete the application.
Okay. Yeah, she's just wondering about some of her missing documents, so it says when she has submitted it. Great job, okay? We can look at this, nice and short, not a whole page, so I would go ahead and check off some of those things in the body. Now, that last checkbox, it says grammar and spelling. How's the grammar and spelling? Right on. But what's this thing that's underlined? CC. Carbon copy. If we looked back up on our resource page, which many of you guys did, we figured out what CC stood for. And CC stands for carbon copy, and it says to bring someone into the conversation. Okay? So she mentions in her email that she copied her college counselor just in case if he needed to add any documents. That was a good way to use CC. Another example of using CC, let's say that Ms. Khan emailed me because she had a question. She asked me a question about lockers. I didn't know the answer. I needed to ask Mr. Tran what the answer was. I could use a CC on that email and say, "Hi, Ms. Khan, I'm not sure of that answer, but Mr. Tran, do you have an idea what that is?" Okay, so it's a good way to bring him into the conversation. He could look back at Ms. Khan's original email and then respond accordingly. Okay, so if we know what CC is, it also on our sheet says what BCC is. So Catherine, on our sheet, what does BCC stand for? I'm sorry? Yeah, blind carbon copy. And it does make a note on our sheet that says that it's a little bit disrespectful and rude and unprofessional. It can be. Raise your hand if you've seen, we made a talk about this a few days ago, Mean Girls when they blind three-way call. Okay, so that's kind of a way of doing that in your email. However, it can be really good if you just want to address a group of people and not have every single person on the list know who the email was to. So if I went to this table and they all were missing an assignment and I wanted to send them an email, it's not necessarily like Rosa's business if Anita's missing an assignment. So I could just blind carbon copy, send the same email, they all would get it, but they wouldn't know who it went to. Okay, so there's some good ways that we can use that. We're continuing with our checklist of closing. Fernando. Yes. What did you say was missing? Yeah. Exactly. There's no deadline for a response. Do we think that a deadline would be appropriate in this situation? You're nodding your head yes. Why?
Because she's like, she needs the transcript and the letters of recommendation for like, because most colleges have deadlines to, enroll into a college.
Mm-hmm. Could be true. Do we all agree, or do we think that we don't need a deadline? Gabriel, what do you think? We do need a deadline? Okay. I think you could argue either way, but I would say that on the list, that could be the one thing that was missing. I think the only reason why this person that was writing the email might not have used that is because they didn't want to necessarily seem rude. If you email me and you say, like, I need to hear back by this date, depending on your tone, it might not be necessary. So this checklist, the reason I put that one in there too, is that it's a guide, it's not an end-all be-all, not every single email needs all of those things, but if you're writing an email, it's a good tool to use. All right, and then finally, our signature, then close out with thank you for your time and attention. Make sure her first and last name and contact information is in there. One thing, underneath the format and attachment, leaving white space, this is the white space. Okay, I can't tell you how many times I get an email that says, Miss, and then it just right here, and then it says, like, sincerely, all in the same line. It's just like one long sentence without any punctuation, it's just one long thing. Okay, we want to make sure we leave some white space. You know how to write a letter, and so make your emails look like if you were writing a letter. Cool. Now what we're going to do, go ahead and look down at the exit ticket. Okay, you're going to write me an email from your email address. So in the from line, please write your actual email address. And then Miguel, what's under where it says from? What else do I ask you for? Time. That's something we didn't exactly go over, but use your prior knowledge and decide what time you are typing this email to me. Go ahead and pause what you're doing, have your eyes up here for just 1 second so we can summarize what we're going to do. Thank you. Then, you're going to write your subject, you're going to write your email following the prompt. It's writing for an extension to me for your summer opportunities reflection. No, this is not a formal request, so I will not honor these exit tickets. But what you will do after you finish your exit ticket, we will start a pile on top of the mobile lab. We have 2:53, I think we get out really soon. 3:06. Okay, so if you are somebody that is a Speedy Gonzalez and they finish their exit ticket and would like a computer to get on and share their Google with me, you are allowed to do that. But with about 5 minutes left or 3 minutes left in class, I'm going to show you the steps you need to take to share it with me because we don't quite have enough time to get on the computers. Okay, go ahead and get started. Finish that exit ticket first. If you finish quick enough, you will have time on the computers. I'll be coming around with those home access letters. Please just leave them off to the side. Everybody's doing a great job getting right to work. That's not even yours. No. I just looked it up. no right or wrong reason for why you need to. You can just put that and then come back with one second.
Silly.
Finished? Okay. We are getting dismissed in 6 minutes. If you haven't gotten a computer, I do not recommend getting one at this point.